Okay, so I'm going to take you along for a little bit of a tour of our lot. We have a neighbor with a driveway that goes back to their house, which is way back in there. It's none of those houses you can see. It's actually that white one, if you can see it back beyond the trees. But that's their driveway. It's 0.85 acres here in Woodland Park, Colorado. We have a culvert up front by the city for drainage. So we're going to be putting in a culvert there and a driveway approach to get onto our property so we can quit going over this neighbor's driveway, who has graciously allowed us to do so. He's a really nice guy. And this is our lot. You see we've already cleared some of the trees that were in the way necessary for us to do construction. And my wife and I did that ourselves and hauled that away already. The excavators have already started the grubbing, obviously, to pull the initial 5 to 6 inches of vegetation off of the lot, at least where we're going to be doing the footings and foundation. Now, while this lot looks really, really, really huge, it doesn't go back as far as you can see here. If you can see that bird feeder type of device there, that is, I believe, the end of our property. And it goes into that corner there, and there's a public utility easement going that way, which is where our sewer is going to run down and into the city sewer. We will also have city water. So no septic, no well. There's my Rivian. It's been a nice workhorse. When we cut down the trees, it pulls 11,000 pounds, so we were able to get a dump trailer and load it up, probably a 30-foot dump trailer. We did 6 or 7 loads of tree branches and trees out to the slash site here in Divide, Colorado. And we're able to get rid of the debris, but it did just great. And the dump trailer, that was amazing. One of the other things we have here in Colorado is we have lots of wildlife, and of course that includes bears. This small bear here comes around periodically, this time checking out the neighbor's garbage that is behind the townhouse we're living in while we do our build. And then we have another bear that comes around. He's huge. We've given him the name of Big Ben. He comes around periodically looking for garbage, dragging it off and snacking. Unfortunately, a fed bear is a dead bear, so it's important that people keep their trash cans sealed for bears. Then, of course, we have our culvert that was delivered. It'll also have flared ends, and this is just a picture of it. We went with the thick material, I forget what it's called, but it's a PVC-like material, very durable. We also had to come up to the site is our porta potty, which I'm sure everyone's dying to see. In this case, here it is. It's a porta potty, so it's required to be there. Then we have our time lapse of the beginning of excavation. So this was Bob Ames Excavating showing up and doing the work here.
All my life I've worked and toiled. I have breathed the land and sown the soil. I'll admit that everything I've done ain't right. I gave it all to you tonight. Hold out your hands, I'll give you all I can. When the sun comes up and lights the morning, you'll find out what it means to have it all. Oh, 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 oh. Those who've come before me know how hard it
So one of the other things that we have to deal with in consideration for our footings is we have several places here, 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 and here where the basement walls intersect another wall. And for that, we're going to need to step the footings over a distance of probably about 5 feet or so over that gap. And then so we'll have walls that'll come out on top of that footing at the lower elevation. And then because we're doing ICF, we will step those up in increments equal to our ICF block. We have 2 small pads that'll be in the basement, no big deal there. And then a couple of round footings that'll be put in later for the back deck. And then we need to make a decision on the retaining walls, which are also supposed to have footings. Unless we decide to just do rock walls, we may skip those, but either way they won't be attached to the house. One of the other things we found particularly challenging is that we had the grading and elevation plans done by the surveyor and by a landscape engineer, and they always measure things in the actual elevation numbers. Then we had our structural engineer who did the actual structural plans and foundation plans. And what they do is they take the top of floor for the main level and they set that value to 100. Apparently pretty standard for engineers. And then of course we have chief architect, which of course has to do it its own way as well. And that's usually a setting or a depth that you can put in, but because of a mistake I made early on not matching it to the actual engineers, we ended up putting it in at 0 and then raising the floor. So our top of floor for the main slab is at 23 inches and a half. And I created this chart so that we can keep everything straight, right? Where the top of floor, the top of the subfloor, the depths, especially to help the excavator, the garage, top of footing, the bottom of the footing, and just mark all those down and then put down the depths depending upon what we were doing in a given area. For example, the basement subfloor is getting 4 inches of concrete, 2 inches of foam, and then 2 7/8 additional foam that we'll use as part of the radon system, and then 4 inches of gravel underneath that, which is going to be different than the garage, for example, which is not going to get that extra layer of foam. So some of the things we had to keep into consideration and try to keep straight in translating back and forth, because like our excavator, they don't work from the numbers from the engineer. They only look at the elevations and so forth.
All my life I've worked and toiled. I've breathed the land and sown the soil. I'll admit that everything I've done ain't right. I give it all to you tonight. Hold out comes up and the light's the morning, you'll find out what it means to have it all. Oh, 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 oh. Those who've come before me know how hard it is to let it go. It's a part of me, it's all I've got. I'm one, I'm lost, I'm loved, I fought. Hold out your hands, I'll give you all I can. When the sun comes up and the lights the morning, you'll find out what it means to have it all. Oh, 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 oh.
I'm just going to leave you with some footage of the excavation as it's taking place without a lot of narration. I'm trying to keep these videos fairly simple to produce so that I can do them while I'm doing all of this work and managing the general contracting of the build. Otherwise, it's going to be too time consuming, and I don't want to publish these a year after we're done. So just want to keep them simple. Hopefully you're on board with that. Don't expect a big elaborate production every week, because we're not going to get one.
You know what it means to have it now. My eyes light up as we share the moment. The time has come for me to show you how it feels to hold the world together. The pain and joy it brings to have it all. Oh, 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 all my life I've worked and toiled.
Well, if you've made it this far, you've endured a lot of footage of the excavation, which isn't super exciting, but we have some torrential rains that came afterwards, and next week we will show you the rains, we will show you the footings, or at least the excavation for the footings, and some of those things. So stay tuned. You know, one of the things I find interesting is somebody asked me, why are you building out of ICF? Why not build out of wood? And besides these, there's some economic reasons, and we've gone through some of the pros and cons regarding the strength and fire capabilities and so forth. But one of the things I found interesting was, if you take a look at, we used to build ships out of wood. We used to build stagecoaches out of wood. The first airplanes were made out of wood. And the first bridges that we built were made out of wood, right? So that was just what we used. But if you look back thousands of years, right? I mean, stone has been around, concrete, stone has been around for a very long time, lasting thousands of years. And it's the material that we know will stand the test of time. And it makes sense. It doesn't burn. It can be damaged by earthquakes, but I mean, some of these things have just been around forever. And same thing with modern bridges, right? We found better materials to build out of. So we built bridges out of stone. And we built bridges or ships out of steel and other materials. We built cars out of steel and aluminum and other materials because we found these better materials to build with and to move forward with in our products. So one of the questions we can ask ourselves is, why are we still building out of wood when there are better materials around that don't catch fire, that are stronger, stand up to hurricanes, stand up to earthquakes, stand up to tornadoes. Why are we still building out of wood? Anyhow, that was our choice, our decision. Hope you stay tuned for next week, and hopefully we'll have a more exciting episode than we did this week. Thanks, guys.